Okay. Here we go, number 9. Now, what do I do on number 9? First thing I want you guys to do are the steps. Step 1, put on the missing exponents. Step 2, separate into individual problems. And step 3, get rid of negative exponents. Okay? Those are all very, very important. So the first thing I want to do is put on missing exponents. Is there anything on here that is missing an exponent? The 3 is missing a 1, the 2 is missing a 1, and the V is missing a 1. By putting on those missing exponents, you understand that now this is actually property 7 from last night, I think. 7, something like that. Okay? And what you're going to do is simply distribute that negative 2 exponent into every one of the exponents here. So I have 3 to the negative 2, u to the 8, v to the negative 6, over 2 to the negative 2, u to the 10, v to the negative 2. Do we see that, yes or no? Yes? We see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so now, separate the individual problems. So here's one problem, and here's one problem. Do we see that, yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, now that I have my individual little problem there, what do? I'm going to deal with my numbers. Make your fraction line. Where does 3 to the negative 2 go? It goes to the bottom and becomes positive now, so that becomes 3 squared. Where does my 2 to the negative 2 go? It goes to the top. Now, I want you guys to think of your exponent problems like computers. If you do too many things on a computer at one time and open up too many programs, what happens? It slows down or it crashes and freezes, depending on what all you're doing, right? Shouldn't crash and freeze, but it does. So, what I want you to do is just do one program at a time. This is a program, okay? This problem is one individual problem. Here's another individual problem, and here's another last individual problem. Do we all understand it? Yes or no? Okay? So, we're going to do the first one all the way down. So what's 2 squared? What's 3 squared? 9. Does that make sense? Go to the next problem. What do? How are my bases attached? By division. So what do? Subtract the exponents. That's 8 minus 10. What is 8 minus 10? U to the negative 2. Put it over 1. What do? Not flip it. Okay, so now, I'm not done, so what do? I take the u to the negative 2 and I put it down to the bottom, right? So it goes down with the 9. So now I have another problem done. So now I come back up here and I finish the next one. So how are the b's attached? So what do? And minus the negative is a? Makes it a positive. So that gives you b to the negative 4. And now I extend that, and where's that going to go? Now that goes to the bottom. And I'm done. Does that make it easier, guys? When you take it one step at a time, does it make it easier than what you guys were dealing with last night? Yes or no? Sometimes? Okay. All right, what was another one that you had problems with?
Number 8.
3? Do I need to do 3? Anybody for 3? Anybody for 4?
Yes.
Number 4. Step 1, what do? Missing exponents. Then distribute the 2, okay? So this is 3 to the negative 2, 4 to the negative 2, d to the negative 6, e to the 10. Yes? Okay? Now what? I'm going to do one problem at a time. So I would put my fraction line in. My 4 to the negative 2 goes to the top and becomes 4 squared. 3 to the negative 2 goes to the bottom and becomes 3 squared. What is 4 squared? 16. What is 3 squared? 9. Okay, now, what do I do with the d? Extend that and put those variables over 1. What goes to the bottom? The d to the 6 goes to the bottom, and the e to the 10th stays. And you're done. Get it? Doug, you okay back there?
Yeah, it's a lot easier than one.
Did you make it a lot more difficult?
Yeah, I kept forgetting about, like, switching to negative on the numbers rather than just
If I ever do not make it through and you are making it really, really hard, this is review. It's not meant to be hard, so don't make it like that, okay? There's some challenging problems, but it's not supposed to be to the point where it's so overwhelming you don't know what you're doing, okay? Next one. Anybody for 8?
Yeah.
Yes, 8? Okay, step 1. We're just going over our worksheet from last night. Step 1, what do I do? Put on your missing exponents. So I'm missing an exponent on my 2 and on my 4. Now, that 5 on the outside goes to what?
top.
Just everything on the top. Nothing on the bottom. It only goes to the top. Did we get that? So right now, I'm going to have 2 to the 5th R to the 15th and S to the negative 15th. All over my denominator, which stays. Do we see that, yes or no? Okay. So now, what do I do here? How many problems should I have?
3.
I have 3 individual problems. Here's 1, here's 2, and there's my third one. Yes? Okay, so now, do I change anything with my 2 to the 5th and my 4 to the 1st? Do they swap places or anything? No, why? Because they don't have negative exponents. So what is 2 to the 5th? 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8 times 2 is 16 times 2 is
32.
32. So this is going to be 32 over 4, which one is 32 divided by 4? It is 8. So now, go to the next one. How are the R's attached? They're attached by division, so what do I do with my exponents? So 15 minus negative 7. Minus a negative is actually adding a positive. That gives you R to the what? 22nd. Excellent. Okay, the S's. Now, how are they attached? So what do? You subtract them. Excellent. So this is S to the negative 15 minus a negative 10. Minus a negative is a positive. So this is going to be S to the negative 5. Now, do I have an issue? What's my issue? I have a negative exponent here. So put it over 1, and everything that's positive stays where it's at, and everything that's negative goes to the bottom. Do we understand? Are we getting it easier?
Yes.
Making more sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I've done how many problems on the front already? Number 10 is the last one I'm going to do on the front, because how many of you honestly, before a test, review problems? And this is my problem. If I do all of your homework for you, the only time you're seeing that problem done is whenever I do it in class. Which means you guys are not recognizing, oh, what if you don't remember how I did it in class? You're really in trouble on the test, right? So you guys need to review the problems that I'm doing for you so that you remember, and you can redo it later on and see it again on the test and be able to do it without any problem. Now, step 1, what do? Missing exponents. 25 to the 1st. Now what? And the 5 to the 1st. Okay. And the y. Good catch. Now what? To where? Just to the bottom. So my top stays exactly the same. My bottom becomes 5 to the negative 3, x to the negative 6, y to the negative 3. Yes? many problems do you have there? 3. My numbers, my x's, and my y's, right? So now what do? I'm going to deal with that 25 to the first over the 5 to the negative 3. That 5 to the negative 3 has a negative exponent in the denominator, so to make it positive, where does it have to move? It has to move to the top. So 5 cubed is going to be what? And that's going to be 3,125. Okay? We good? Okay, so the number part's done. Now look at the x's. How are the x's attached? The x's that are right here are attached by division, yes? So, how do I deal with that? What do? Subtract them. So this is going to be x to the negative 5 minus negative 6 plus gives me x to the first. Yes? Do we see that? Now my y's, what do? So that's plus to give you y to the 6. And you're done. Any questions on the front? Are we good? Okay, turn it over to the back. We're 12 on the back. Okay, number 12 on the back. This is kind of an important concept for you to understand here. When you have the negative number inside a parenthesis, if I take a negative times a negative, what's the outcome? Positive. But if I take a negative times a negative times a negative, what's the outcome? A negative. So what is the rule? A negative raised to an even power is a positive outcome. And a negative raised to an odd power is a negative outcome, right? Do we all understand that? Now, why am I saying that? Because these go together. The negative 2 needs to have parentheses around it because you need to understand that you're not just taking that 2 to a power, but the negative goes with it. Is everybody with me on that? Okay, so with that said, I'm going to have negative 2 cubed x to the 6. Miss that there. Over here, I'm going to have 4 to the negative 1, x to the negative 3. Yes or no, folks? We good? Numbers with numbers, letters with letters. Negative 2 cubed times 4 to the negative 1, x to the 6, x to the negative 3. Now, that negative 2, what type of an exponent does that have? It has a positive exponent, doesn't it? Because it has a positive exponent, it stays right where it's at. This has a negative exponent, so that 4 goes to the bottom. Now what's negative 2 times negative 2? 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. So now I'm going to have negative 8 divided by 4, which gives me what? Negative 2. Now what do I do with my variables? X to the 6 plus 3, you add them to give you x to the 9. Oh, that was a negative, sorry. Which changes this. Missed that. So that gives you x cubed. Sorry, guys. Any questions over number 12? Are we good? Caleb, does that answer your question? Okay, we are out of here. It's 48. Okay. On the back, what question was that one? Let's talk about 18. Number 18. Okay, we're looking at 18 here. Here's what I need you guys to understand. Everything that we've been dealing with so far has not had any addition or subtraction, has it? Everything has been attached by what operation? multiplication or what? Division. Well, how is this one different? It's got addition, meaning I have a binomial. A binomial is going to be two monomials attached by addition or subtraction. Anytime you have addition or subtraction going on there, what I refer to this as is the head of the body. Then you walk around the school with your head unattached to your body.
Yeah.
No, you can't. I'm sorry. No one's a chicken around here, and you will die. Okay? So the x and the y can never be separated. They are one entity. You cannot separate them. All right? So what your brain needs to kind of pretend is that the x plus y is a whole different letter. Let's say z. Okay? So this could actually be 12z cubed over 9z. Now, if that was the case, what would you guys do?
Reduce.
The 12 and the 9 would reduce to give you 4/3. And what would you do with your z? You cancel the bottom one out, or it would just be 4z squared, right? Over 3. Yes? Now, this problem is exactly this problem over here, except for you have a binomial. So you're going to still have the 4/3, but in place of the z, you're going to have x plus y, 3 minus 1, which is where you're going to get the x plus y squared. And it would be done. Do not, okay, people, are you listening to me? Do not do this. No. Because that is 100% wrong. And here's why. Because if I have x plus y quantity squared, that means that you're writing it down 2 times. And how do you multiply 2 binomials together? You FOIL them. Remember that? So that's why you can't write x squared plus y squared. Do we all understand that, yes or no? We good? Okay. Now, any other questions over this? I'm sorry? 15. Okay. 15. Here's what you need to understand. The 3 and the 3 are your bases, right? Pretend for a moment. If I had x squared times x cubed, what would you do? You add them together to give you x to the 2 plus 3, which is x to the 5th, right? We kept the x, right, which is the base. Now, this is the same concept. What throws you off is you're looking at that 3 as the base, and you think you got to multiply 3 times 3 together. You don't. 3 is your base. You're simply adding the exponents to give you 3 to the 3n. You don't know what n is. N is a placeholder, right? So you leave it as 3 to the 3n. Any questions over that? Does it matter? Are we doing a line of erasing over there? It's all good. Nothing she's not used to. Okay. Any other questions over last night's homework? What's tonight's homework? Tonight's homework is to correct it and to finish it. I gave you guys all the answers. You all know what the correct answers are. What I expect of you is to come in here on Monday and be ready to move on to rational equations. Okay? We're going to be doing rational equations, and then we're going to be doing systems of equations, and then we're looking at a test next week and your books. If they are done, the equation one, did you figure that one out? 24.
Yeah, we just,
So we're supposed to turn that.
Okay. Anything you have for me that is done, you need to always hand it in, because if you just keep holding on to it, then I'm never going to grade it. Okay? This is number 24. Okay? Now, easy way to do this, Put it over 1, and you're going to have 4 times the 2/3 y plus 5 all over the 7 is equal to 10 over 1. Then what can you do, Rachel? I could. Or I could do this, or cross multiply. Because if I cross multiply, I get 4 times 2/3 y plus 5 is equal to 70. Then I can distribute, because it doesn't look as messy now, does it? So if I distribute now, I'm going to have 8/3 y plus 20 is equal to 70. Okay? Subtract the 20. 8/3 y is equal to 50. I think I messed up something here, right? Not yet. I will though. Yeah. Multiply by 3/8. Plus cancel. This becomes a 4. This becomes a 25. To give you the 75 over 4. You see that, Rachel?
Yeah.
You good now?
Yeah.
Any other questions? On Monday, what do I expect to have every single thing in me? I want the orange paper on Monday, salmon colored one, if I don't already. I want the integers, the equations, and the exponent worksheet into me all on Monday. We good? How's your first week of school?
I'd rather go back.